If you are watching this, there's a good chance you are interested in making your art more realistic. Or perhaps you are just interested in the topic of realism in art. Or maybe you are just finding it difficult to achieve the level of realism you wish to attain with your art. Whatever the case, I hope you enjoy my experience on the topic of realism in art and the problems it presents. I will be taking you through a speed drawing of this artwork I did a few weeks ago as I discuss this topic. If you are new here, my name is Kojo. I'm an artist and I make realistic colored pencil artworks. A few years ago, I came across an artwork on Instagram that had me totally stunned. It was a realistic pencil portrait, and believe me when I say, I immediately fell in love with realism. Now, bear in mind, I've always been inclined to art even from a very young age, and I've always loved portrait art. But this time, I saw a level of realism I had never seen before, and my interest grew even bigger. Now, I tried getting into contact with the artist who did the work, just to see if I can get a few pointers from him. I tried all I could, but to no avail. But guess what? I found out he actually lived in my neighborhood. Long story short, he was not really interested in sharing his techniques with me. Now that's totally fine. He had probably received a lot of messages from people begging to learn from him. And I don't think he would have had the chance to teach everyone that messaged him. So I totally understand. Unfortunately, he had no courses or tutorials at the time, so that was quite disappointing. Fast forward a few years, and I think this was in 2018-2019, I developed an interest for colored pencil art, and I spent a lot of time trying to perfect my skills. I still like regular graphite art, but I just find colored pencil drawings a little more vibrant and interesting. Gradually, I noticed a significant improvement in my art. Now, because I do realistic art, I think I'm in the right position to discuss the problems I've encountered on this journey. Before I go on, let's compare realism and hyperrealism, and these are terms I'm sure you've seen being used regularly in the world of art. Realism is when the drawing is so true to the likeness of the reference such that it can be compared to the reference or the photo from which the drawing was made. However, hyperrealism represents a true likeness of the reference to the point that it can actually be mistaken for a photograph. Now, the distinction between the two is not always obvious. A photograph may not be so detailed, and if you're able to replicate the likeness you see, then it becomes hyperrealistic or realistic. If on the other hand, you have a photograph that contains an insane amount of details, then being able to replicate the same thing can also be termed as hyperrealistic. So the two can actually be used interchangeably in certain instances. Now, the problems with realism in colored pencil art or in any medium of art really can be summed up into one phrase: the obsession for accuracy. And I'll be breaking this down as we go along. Later, I'll give suggestions on how I was able to overcome this problem. With respect to colored pencil art, the obsession for accuracy can be broken down into two parts. 1. An obsession for pinpoint accurate outline or sketch, and then 2. Selection of accurate colors. Now, because we are trying to do something that is as close to the reference as possible, it makes sense that we try to be accurate. However, when we become obsessed with accuracy, it can actually be crippling, and this can take away all the fun from the process. So let's start with the first problem: an obsession for pinpoint accurate outlines. This is generally a problem when you are just starting out. You want to make sure your outlines are perfect and that they are a true presentation of what you see in the reference, and that's totally fine. But I think the obsession comes from not having a systematic approach to doing your outlines. Generally, when you build systems around an activity, it becomes a whole lot easier. I would not recommend doing your outlines free-handed if you are a beginner. You will get it wrong, trust me. It takes a lot of practice to get accurate sketches from freehand drawing. And even to date, I hardly do my outlines free-handed. When you do a freehand sketch, you have to be constantly judging the relations between one feature and the other. For example, if you are doing a human portrait and you are, let's say, drawing the nose, you need to abstractly see the distance between the eyes and the nose, and perhaps the lips and the nose as well, just to get a sense of distance as to where the nose is supposed to be, all while making sure you are the correct distance from the edges of the face. And this can be a huge task if you are just starting out as a beginner. So I would not recommend freehand for a beginner who is starting out with a realistic colored pencil drawing, or any medium of drawing for that matter, for realism. I have got a video that discusses only outlines or sketches. I discuss methods like grid method, the point technique, and a combination of the two. Personally, I prefer that beginners use the last option, which is a combination of the two, because it leads to a greater level of accuracy. And once you have that down, you can stop worrying about getting your outlines right, because now you have built a system around a way to accurately achieve your outlines or initial sketches. You can check out the full tutorial on sketches after watching this video. Now let's move to the second problem, and this I feel is even more common among colored pencil artists, and it is the problem of getting the same colors you see in the reference for your drawing. To create a realistic drawing, you do not have to be 100% spot on with your colors. What is more important is value and contrast. Let me demonstrate that with this picture. Now, does this look realistic to you? Of course it does. How about this? Again, yes, it is realistic. But that was the same picture in two totally different colors. Yes, they were both realistic. So what does that tell you? Color is important, but not as important as you think. And when you realize this, it takes a lot of pressure away from the expectation you have in mind of only getting a realistic artwork if only you choose your colors to match exactly what you see in the reference. You don't have to. You only have to be close enough to the reference picture, so try to get as close as you can. When drawing with colored pencils, make sure your dark areas or shadows are as dark as they should be, and that the light areas or highlights are as light as they should be. Now that is what creates realism. The value of your colors, that is how light or dark they are, and their relationship with each other, which is contrast. This is what creates realism, and this is why I demonstrated with the black and white version of the picture I showed you earlier, because black and white photos focus mainly on value and contrast. If you enjoyed this video, check out this one right here where I actually make a realistic drawing of the portrait I just showed you. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to learn more about realistic colored pencil art. See you in the next one.